All right, what's going on, guys? It's been a little while. Time for a quick update for you. Specifically, today we're talking about winterizing my E92 M3. So as a lot of you guys know, I don't actually drive this car in the winter time, and I do a few things before I winterize it. And I say that in quotes because everyone has a different definition of how they winterize a vehicle and what they like to do. So this is what I like to do. It's my car, it's worked for any car I've owned or any car that has sat for extended periods of time. It's what I like to do. So keep that in mind, that it's not going to be what everyone should do. It's what I like to do, and maybe you might want to do the same thing. So very, very basic. This is really with any car, but for me, I like to have a fresh wash before I park it and leave it for an extended period of time. I like to do that with any car, but especially when I know it's gonna be sitting for a few months at a time, I like to have it washed, all the wheels nice cleaned up and all that good stuff. So definitely wash it. That's the most basic, normal thing that I like to do. So the second thing that I wanna note is this trickle charger here. This is a CTEC 7002. I've had it for several years, so they may have a newer model now, but this thing actually is attached to the M3 pretty much anytime I'm not driving it. And I don't drive it every day, and I don't drive it every week. So any vehicle that's sitting for an extended period of time, I would say a week or two or more, I would say throw a trickle charger on it. It's really cheap and super easy, and it saves you a lot of trouble. I'll give you a quick little detailed rundown of how I like to hook it up. All right, so let me give you guys a closer look. Of course, I have the connection up under the hood. You can also do it in the trunk because the battery in my car is in the trunk. This is the CTEC 7002. Really like it, mainly because it cycles the batteries. You can see there's little pictures of the battery gaining and losing charge, which mimics driving around. Much different than just a standalone, like, passive trickle charger. So this actually keeps the battery in good shape, cycles it just like you're driving, and I've really had no issue. So I really like this thing. I've had it for like 5 years at least. It's seen some days it's kind of bumped and scratched up a little bit, but you guys can see there's normal mode and then snowflake mode. Those are the only two modes I've ever used. Snowflake mode is when the temperatures are below 50 consistently. So I think it has a little higher power that it runs through the battery just to keep it in better shape, or you can use normal mode. So I'll just push it back to normal just so you guys can kind of see. It'll show you the battery and then the different steps it's going through with the battery. So really self-explanatory. We'll put it back into snowflake mode, put that there, and we'll be good to go. And actually, one other thing I didn't point out is you can't mess up your battery by hooking it up wrong. This has a little eye. So this is lit, this dot right here, this light right here. That means it's either hooked up wrong or there's some issue with the battery where it's not gonna work. So it won't run power through a connection that's wrong or a battery that has a serious issue. It'll just not run any power. It'll stop it here, I guess. So that's really nice. It's a really nice safety mechanism. It's pretty much idiot proof, so you don't worry about that. It's really nice to have that, and one less thing to worry about. All right, so let's talk about two more things that I like to do. One of them is making sure you fill up the gas tank to full. When a car sits, especially for several months, you get condensation or whatever, you know. I don't put any sort of stabilizer in the gas because the car I will drive every month or two and burn enough gas that I can refill it and the gas doesn't get old. Never had an issue with that. So I don't do any stabilizer, but I do fill it up all the way just to reduce the chance of there being an issue. And then also for the tires, I try to overinflate them a little bit. I don't really know what the normal metric is, but I usually have them at 40 PSI or a little bit above that, maybe 42, just because it sits, tire pressures change with the temperature, and I do get a little bit of flat spots every once in a while if the car really does sit long enough. So it's, again, my car is not sitting for like 6 months, believe it or not, but it's long enough to where it's worth kind of paying attention to it, and it's free and it takes like 10 minutes and it's really no big deal. So if your car really is sitting long enough, you can get those sort of anti-flat spot things. You can buy those and put your car on them if your car's sitting for like longer than a few months. But otherwise, maybe overinflate them a little bit, or you can always push the car forward or back if you're really worried about it. But I don't normally have a tremendous issue, and honestly, if I did have a little bit of flat spot, I'd go driving, and then once they warm up, it goes away. All right, so this is a little bit along the same lines, and that is regarding an oil change. I do an oil change on this car about once a year, and I like to do it in the late fall or whatever before I pretty much put the car away. And that's just because it's nice in springtime when I'm driving it more frequently. I can just get in and go as opposed to worrying about maintenance or whatever the case may be. So it's nice just to get it done after the season, and then that way in spring the car's ready to go. It's sort of a normal consumable thing that's just nice to have done. So I make sure I do an oil change, which you'd have to do anyways, but I just sort of time it for late fall. All right, so the very last thing, which I have actually never done, is a car cover. I would like to buy a car cover or put a car cover on the M3, mainly because once the car is washed, I know this sounds very particular, but it's annoying when like dust and stuff like starts building up on it when it sits. And I know that sounds really stupid, but when it sits long enough, you can actually tell that there's stuff on it. So if you're watching these videos, you probably understand where I'm coming from here. It'd be nice to sort of protect it from dust and things like that, but also if you accidentally kind of rub up against it when you're in and out or whatever like that. So again, not a big deal. I would like a car cover, and I eventually will get one. I kind of like those sort of stretchy ones. They're like spandex material of some sort. So I probably will get one like that that's really fitted, works really well, and the whole car has PPF on it. So I'm not worried about scratches at all, quite honestly. So I could just put that, it'll, you know, get real tight against the car, look kind of cool, and then obviously protect it. So those are the things that I do. It's like super simple. You don't need to overcomplicate the winterizing process. Again, if you have like an old car that you're not driving, you know, maybe once a year you're driving it or something like that, then obviously your situation is different than mine. Mine, I drive it enough to where it doesn't make sense to do like the stabilizer and the fuel or other things like that. It's just not worth it. It's like extra work for like pretty much no benefit in my opinion. So I don't do any of that. And then also keep in mind, I'm in Columbus, so like central Ohio, we get like a spurt of like 1 or 2 weeks where the temperature is like 50 or 55 randomly in the middle of winter time. And that's when I will take this car out and actually stretch its legs and fully warm it up and drive it. And that's only when the roads have sort of been rinsed off by the rain or something like that. So it's very, again, situational, but that's what I do. It works, and the car is good. There's no issues. I don't have any sort of negative consequences where it doesn't like to start, or battery issues or flat spots. I mean, all those things seem to pretty much be figured out by the way that I do that. So that's it. Quick update on the M3 and my sort of winterizing process. And I say that with quotes just because it's not really winterizing, but it's me doing a few different things other than what I normally do, but it's really very consistent with what I normally have doing to the car. So anyways, that's it. Leave a comment below. I will be trying to do some more videos as usual. I think my schedule is a little bit more manageable at the moment, so I'll try to do a few more videos. Let me know what you guys would like to see, and I will see you next time.